I know I've only done a Zelda theory on this channel, but the newest trailer for Tears of the Kingdom has dropped, and it's the final trailer before release. So this is the release trailer, and I've admittedly have already watched it once, but that doesn't change the fact that I want to react to it. So I'm gonna do that. Beautiful, beautiful game already. But I mean, Breath of the Wild was pretty beautiful too. Is that a construct fighting a slime? Did I see that right? It's Link! Look at that form and grace. Oh, I'm just now noticing the symbols on the ground. I didn't see those in my first watch through. Oh, that is very different. Okay. So okay. God, it's so familiar, but wait. Is that what I think it is? Oh, hi, big guy. We saw this in the first trailer, but his hand was normal then, covered in the glove. Wow. Wait, who? What?
Zelda.
Yes? What? Hello?
We rely on your knight, and that legendary sword he carries. Our last line of defense will be Link.
Okay. That's... Hold on.
Link.
Hold the... I know most of this is me just making sounds, but just look at that. Look at that. Doesn't that just look incredible? Wait. Were those robot fights?
I know why I am here.
Bosses!
It's something only I can do.
Do not look away. You witness a king's revival.
Oh, that must happen soon, early in the game. Hi! So, he does get moisturized.
Okay, let's go!
Are we getting... Oh...
But you are not alone.
Ooh!
Link.
Look at this! Is that...
Our final
Is that
hope.
Leok? That looks like Leok. What?
Link.
Yeah.
You must find me.
Oh, so somehow she falls down a big chasm and winds up in the Sky Islands. Okay. That's like, okay, but like who could watch that and not get excited about the new freaking game? That is a lot of info to dump. It gave us a lot of, like, a full-on face reveal of Ganondorf. It is actually Ganondorf. He does get moisturized back up and looks like the man himself. We don't know what version yet, but still, that's like, this is going to be an incredible game. And I can already tell this, and I really hope it doesn't disappoint, but we're going to watch this again slower this time. So that way I can actually point out the things that I wanted to point out while we were watching that were just flying by way too fast. So we're starting out in the sky, yes. starting out in the sky, showing off the beautifulness that is the Sky Islands and the Hyrule Kingdom below. Like, look at it. It's so pretty. You can see the lake below and stuff. And yeah, look, zoom in there. There is a construct fighting a slime. So constructs are going to be an enemy in the game, but they're not going to be a Ganon enemy in this game. So they'll like fight Ganon enemies. And of course, there's our boy. There's something there where his Sheikah Slate used to be. They look like batteries or something. Probably are. In the gameplay trailer that they released, they showed off something that you can do in the game, which is like combining things to basically build whatever you can think of. And a lot of the things, like their fans and whatnot, they take batteries to run. And they recharge, but they take batteries to run. So that's probably just like a bonus battery source. Okay, rewinding real quick. So it's the same aesthetic world that we were playing in before. See, the towns are the same, and they're trying to rebuild Castletown, which I think is actually super awesome. So rebuilding Hyrule is going to be a big part of this game. Somehow I can just tell. Not only that, but I have a feeling that the Zonai are also going to be a big part of this game. Well, obviously, they've been name dropped. This is awesome. That's the Arbiter's grounds. That it's being raised out of the freaking sand. That's the Arbiter's ground. It was in Breath of the Wild. You know, there was a big Hinox that you could fight there. You got to get on top of like the arch thing, and it even showed on the map that they referred to it as the Arbiter's Grounds Ruins. Well, that looks like an Arbiter's Grounds to me, being risen out of the desert. Just so that way that we can go in there and kill all the things like a good hero. So Ganondorf still has the power and the malice, since he's the source of the malice, to push the castle out of the sky. I've never seen Ganondorf. Sorry, that's a pause on a black screen. I've never seen Ganondorf with like living tendrils of malice like that before. I mean, look at that. Doesn't that look intimidating? And that's Ganondorf, not Ganon, not the Calamity. That's the man himself. That is Mr. My Man Ganondorf right up there. And look at that. Those things are like tentacles coming off his head. That's kind of scary to me. I'm not a huge tentacle fan, but you know, that looks intimidating. So we got to see stuff like this very early on, but it was done differently. Oh, there are sinkholes in the desert. We know that Zelda's going to be falling, as she is here, because they showed that in the early trailers, that Zelda falls, Link wasn't able to save her, they didn't tell us why. Now we have a general understanding that Link and the Master Sword have both been infected by Ganondorf's malice, and so the arm is going to need to be rebuilt in some way, and Link and the Master Sword are both kind of damaged because of Ganondorf's malice. So we're going to be very nerfed early game, and like I'm sure of it. This is probably going to be the reset everything to zero sort of thing you gotta have in the sequels. I didn't notice the desert sinkholes the first two times I watched. This is the first time I see in the distance. I can see writing on the side of the mountain. I really wonder what that's about, but we'll find out later. I don't really know enough to make any theories or judgments on that, but those sinkholes, there are sinkholes in the desert now, and there's probably because the Arbiter's Grounds was raised out of the desert or something. But that there's a new obstacle in the desert for the new game that we have not yet dealt with, and hopefully will not be too hard of an obstacle to get through. That would be upsetting. Is that a skyship? Yeah, there's like 4 of them too. Are these like the ghost ship from Wind Waker? That's the only other type of boat that I can. Okay, yeah. We did the robot pirate adventure through time and Skyward Sword, where we had to board the ship, and that was the dungeon. So maybe, just maybe, this might be another version of that done better. Because, I mean, that was a decently done dungeon. Just because the boss was crap doesn't mean that the dungeon was bad. So maybe this is it. Maybe we have to figure out which of these is the real ship. And then we have to have the ship be the dungeon. I mean, it does look like dungeons are making a return, because like we just saw, the Arbiter's ground is being raised out of the freaking desert. So dungeons are happening. They're just probably going to be happening in the sky, not on the ground. Maybe we might find some like underwater or underground dungeons, but we haven't actually seen anything to really show us that there's going to be underwater sections. We've seen caves, but we haven't seen anything to show that there's going to be any underwater sections, so we can't say that one for sure. But it does look like there will for sure be dungeons in the Sky Islands. At least here's hoping. And if there's not, I will look stupid. So it looks like we're going back into the castle at some point down that big old hole. So this is either Death Mountain. This could be in the castle underneath the Royal Chambers area where we fought Calamity Ganon. Because that looks actually kind of similar to the tunnel that was open when Calamity Ganon hatched and we fell down into the observatory. So we might have to get to the observatory in some manner or fashion to figure all this stuff out, but at that point the castle would be overtaken by Ganondorf. So looks like the labyrinths are making a comeback. That's freaking awesome. But if you look here in the distance, there are armed villagers. You can see the villagers in the distance. They are armed. You can see right there, they are armed. They have swords and shields, and they are advancing on a moblin. So it doesn't look like we're the only one fighting back. It looks like we actually might be, this might be like the war to end all wars in Hyrule. Because look, the peasants themselves are picking up arms and are fighting alongside us. And we see later on in the trailer, not only are the peasants doing it, but the new champions too. I get a fight alongside my husbando Sidon. I'm super excited about that. I don't know who this is, okay? So I have thoughts. I have theories, because of course I do. I'm a freaking fan of this game. This is either A, we have seen multiple depictions of a certain, what most of the fans believe to be a goddess. Goddess of time, goddess Hylia. I've heard a lot of theories being thrown around, but the carvings depict she is not human. Yes, the Hylia that we've seen most of gets reborn into Zelda, and in most depictions she is depicted Hylian-like. But most of the goddesses, the golden goddesses who created the Triforce, have had dragons named after them. Farush, Dinral, Nadra, all of them have origins with the original golden goddesses who created the world. So Din, Nehru, and Farora. Who's to say that even though we have seen them in human-esque forms, who is to say that these goddesses might not be dragons themselves? That is theory A. Theory B. The Zonai are dragon people. Look very closely. Gray hair-like pieces of this particular individual's body, which is reminiscent, in my opinion, is very reminiscent of another ancient race within Hyrule, the Sheikah, who themselves were exceptionally scientifically advanced. However, clearly these are not human-esque. These are more draconic, lizard-like beings. Think about it. The Zonai, everywhere that there is Zonai architecture, there is some form of dragon worship. There is a giant dragon with its mouth open in front of the spring in the Zonai area. They have plenty of pillars with dragon heads on the top of them. And yes, they do the boar and the owl too, but there is a lot of dragon imagery. So why would that be? Maybe it's because they themselves are dragons, so they worship the draconic deities, maybe? Or that they're a dragon-like. I don't know. There are a lot of possibilities for this, but those are my two theories, is that this is either a goddess or one of the Zonai. Either way, it's a freaking gorgeous character design, and I am super excited to see what this is all about. They're gonna have a lot of Zelda OCs of this particular species on their hand, though. I hope they know what they're doing. It looks like we're going to have Epona. Oh, that's very reminiscent. At the end of the Tower of Challenges in Wind Waker, there is a boss that is intended to test you to ensure that you are of the heart of the hero. It's the, it's the same shoot my hands and shoot me in the eye fare that Nintendo likes to do, but that is still, the construct pulling itself out of the wall is very reminiscent of that boss. So I don't think that this is from anything that, I don't think the Zonai actually mean us harm. I think they're testing our mettle as the hero. And see, it brings us right back into the king's throne room. Zelda survives.
And that legendary sword
This is before the game really gets going, because the Master Sword's fine, and so is Link's hand. Now, look very closely. Whatever this thing putting their hand on Zelda's shoulder is, I believe is of the same race as this individual here. I think that whatever is giving Zelda their blessing is the same race as this individual here. But that, once again, that is my theory just based on what I'm seeing, because I'm seeing, look at the hands, look at the main body. They're covered, but it's very much not human. Everybody, all of it's on Link's shoulders, because of course it is. He's the hero. But he's not going to have to do it alone this time, which I think is awesome. Of course, the new reverse time ability. Is that a freaking rocket? Is that legitimately a rocket in Zelda? Like, you're not shitting me. That's a rocket. It looks like we're going to be able to do some fighting in the rail cars, which it looks like we're going to have to build our own to be propelled. If you look very closely at the back of the rail cars, there are fans attached to them. But it looks like we're actually going to have enemies smart enough to be able to do this construction thing that we do as well. It's going to be cool. Giant robot fights. Holy hell. Did you ever think in a million years we would have giant fighting robots in a Zelda game? Rock'em sock'em robots in a freaking Zelda game. Are you guys psyched for this yet? Because I am. Okay, something big monster icy thing is coming out of the middle of that tornado that's supposed to be over the Hebrew region. That means a return to form in some fashion. We're gonna get bosses, real bosses, not Calamity Ganon bosses, real bosses. And if we're getting real bosses, then there's a guarantee that we're going to be getting a return to form with Dungeons 2. Because as much as I love the shrines, as much as I love the Calamity Ganon fights, there was a lot missing from Breath of the Wild. It was a great game. I still love it. But there was a lot missing. And I think that this game is doing its best to bridge that gap. Because that looks like a boss to me.
Something only I can do.
Something only she can do. Which usually would imply the golden power that we saw her use in Breath of the Wild, but on the same token, they haven't touched much in Breath of the Wild of the fact that she is a reincarnation of the goddess. There are certain things within this universe that only she can do as the reincarnation of the goddess. Just like there are certain things that only Link can do as the reincarnation of the hero. This just look, there's so much red when it comes to because Malice, of course. Matt Mercer. And we get to see more in depth on how his arm and sword are ruined. Pausing on Ganondorf. Hello, Ganondorf. Glad to see you got yourself to a spa and got yourself unmummified there because, oh, if they had kept him mummified for the entire thing, I don't know how well I could have gotten behind it. But that, right there, that looks like a Ganondorf. And yes, I'm positive he's voiced by Matt Mercer. But I mean, I can't complain about the voice so far. And he looks so awesome. I can't. This is just so exciting. Ganondorf's back. Ganondorf's back. And there is going to be hell to pay. This worries me. One of my favorite champions. I loved Sidon, but I also really, really liked the stoicism of Teba. This Rito's new. And it has me legitimately worried for the well-being of Teba. Like, they could very easily just be weaponizing more of the Rito, which would make sense because full-on war against Ganondorf. But the fact that they are focusing more on this new Rito, female Rito character than the reintroduction of Teba, like they reintroduced Sidon later, has me a little worried that we're gonna lose Teba. I like Teba. I didn't like, what's his name, Avali. I didn't like Avali, but I liked Teba. Hold the phone. Was that a blonde, was that a blonde Gerudo? Or is that a Gerudo? Who is this? That's something I'd love to know because dark-skinned, very hylian elf ears, very druid vibes, clear magic. It might be Hylia now that I think about it because she's wearing the, if you zoom in there, she's wearing the shell that Zelda was looking at earlier. We might actually get to see full-on Goddess Hylia. Maybe. Once again, these are just theories. Speculation based on observation. That's it. Riju grew up.
But you are not.
Sidon!
Link.
The champ. See, once again, Teba's not present with the rest of the champions. That has me concerned. It's Gleeok! That is definitely Gleeok!
Final hope.
Ah. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
Link, you must find me.
TLDR, awesome trailer, lots of new information, lots of awesome new reveals, and I'm super excited about it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited about it, and we are like, what, a month or two away from the release, so I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are looking forward to it, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one! This is gonna be such a good game! I can already tell!